Genco Abbandando is one of those secondary characters from The Godfather who, despite appearing very little, has enormous importance for the story and for the very construction of Vito Corleone. Today we are going to get to know this character better. When little Vito arrived in New York, he had nothing, no family, no money, not even a name that Americans could pronounce properly. He carried only the pain of having seen his father, mother, and brother fall to Don Siccio and the hope of surviving in a place where no one knew him. He ended up in the neighborhood of Little Italy, among dirty alleys and buildings crammed with immigrants who, like him, were struggling for a piece of bread. There he met the Abbandandos, a humble family who owned a modest grocery store, who looked at that quiet, skinny boy and lent him a hand. Mr. Abbandando gave him a room to sleep in, a hot plate of food to eat, and a job so he could support himself. He asked nothing of him, only that he learn, work, and be honest. Vito, grateful, became an exemplary employee, respectful and dedicated. It was also there that his friendship with Genco, the grocer's son, was born. The two grew up together, sharing laughter, little street adventures, and the sorrows of poverty. Genco didn't treat him as a guest or a poor wretch, but as a true brother. Together they swept the store floor, carried heavy boxes, served customers, and went to the theater. Together they also dreamed of a better life, of a future bigger than that street corner. During those early years, Vito led a humble but honest life. Until one day, fate showed its claws. The mobster Don Fanucci, who controlled the neighborhood, decided he wanted to place his own nephew in the store and forced Mr. Abbandando to fire Vito to make room for the boy. Vito received the news in silence, without protest or tears, though he felt the heavy weight of responsibility. He already had a wife and children to feed, and now he was left without a job. In the movie, Mr. Abbandando, ashamed and sorry to let go of such a good young man, offers Vito a basket full of food as a way to help him support his family. Vito refuses it and only takes a pear to bring home, a silent gesture of pride and dignity. In the book, this scene gains even more nuance. There, the one who worries about him is Genco, his friend, his soul brother. Genco, realizing that Vito and his family were in need, tries to help him in secret. He begins taking food from his own father's store, a loaf of bread here, a piece of meat there, and offers it to Vito so his family wouldn't go hungry. But Vito refused it. He knew that it wasn't really Genco's to give, but his father's, and he considered it wrong to accept that the son was stealing in secret to support him. He thanked him, but returned everything, determined to find a way to provide for his family with his own hands. This reveals an aspect of Genco, his genuine and almost desperate concern for Vito. He couldn't bear to see his friend and his family going hungry and did what he could, even if it was wrong, to help him. And it also shows us something fundamental about Vito, his dignity and his sense of honor. For him, it wasn't enough just to feed his family, he needed to do it without shaming himself or hurting anyone. That moment is also the seed of what Vito would become, a man who did not accept impositions from others, like those of Fanucci, and who did not bend in the face of difficulties. After being humiliated and fired because of Fanucci, Vito stayed silent for a while, watching. He noticed how Fanucci exploited everyone in the neighborhood, charging them for protection, squeezing money from already poor people, and on top of that, thinking himself untouchable thanks to his political connections. Vito didn't accept that. Instead, he decided to act with the coldness and courage that would define his career from then on. He ambushed him in the alley by his own home. With that gesture, Vito not only got rid of Fanucci but also showed the whole neighborhood that there was no reason to fear him anymore, and that from then on, it was Vito who protected the shopkeepers. Without fanfare, without pomp, without proclaiming it, the neighborhood began to respect him and to call on him to settle disputes, protect families, and organize the businesses. He was becoming the Don, a Don without a title yet, but already with all the authority. He called Genco to be his consigliere. Not because of cunning or strength, but because of loyalty. Genco had been the friend who shared his bread with him, who worried about his family when he had nothing. For Vito, that was worth more than any diploma or experience. Genco accepted with pride, becoming not just his advisor, but also a symbol that Vito never abandoned those who were faithful to him. With the neighborhood under his protection, Vito began to expand his businesses. He transformed the old Abbandando store, already close to his heart, into an import company, the Genco Olive Oil Company. Officially, it was a respectable distributor of Italian olive oil to the American markets. In practice, the company was a front for the family's activities, alcohol smuggling during Prohibition, gambling, and other illegal operations. When Vito invited Genco to be his consigliere, many in the neighborhood, and even some men within the family, thought it was purely a sentimental gesture. After all, Genco was just a grocer, a good friend, but with no experience in the world of crime or negotiation. But Genco's greatness did not lie in his appearance, but in his mind and heart. Over time, by Vito's side, he learned, observed, and developed remarkable cunning. During the alcohol wars, when the families fought for control of the bootlegging business during Prohibition, it was Genco who suggested moves that saved many lives and strengthened Vito's position. He was calm where others became agitated, patient where others rushed. He knew how to listen, to weigh things, and to advise without arrogance, always with the clarity of someone who never forgot where he came from. Some of the most important pieces of advice, like when to reject a deal to weaken a rival, or when to yield momentarily to win in the long run, came from him. In the end, Genco embodied Vito's philosophy: power is not about being the loudest or the cruelest, but about respect, intelligence, and moral strength. While Vito was the heart and force of the family, Genco was the calm mind and invisible foundation that held it all up. He went from being just a friend to becoming a true strategist, an exemplary consigliere, respected by allies, feared by rivals, and always remembered for his unwavering loyalty. That evolution of Genco shows that loyalty and integrity are powerful weapons in the underworld, and that even with a simple appearance, a man with moral courage and intelligence can become indispensable by the side of a great leader. After so many years alongside Vito Corleone, helping to build an empire, advising in the darkest hours, planning silent victories, and strengthening the family's position until it became one of the most powerful in the United States, Genco Abbandando came to the end of his journey. He lay in a hospital bed, the illness consuming his body, life slowly slipping away. There were no more wars to win, no more deals to negotiate, no more strategies to devise. The man who had been so steady and shrewd was now just fighting for one more breath. Vito wanted to visit him. Not as Don Corleone, but as the friend he had never forgotten. He walked into the room with his usual calm demeanor, but his eyes betrayed the pain of seeing his old consigliere in that state. When Genco saw him, a faint smile appeared on his face. For years he had watched the Godfather fulfill impossible requests, grant favors that no one else dared to offer. Whenever someone needed something, no matter how unlikely, Vito would find a way. He was the man no one dared refuse, the man who seemed able to bend the world to his will. And, in that moment of frailty, Genco looked at him and, moved, whispered, "Don Corleone, don't let me die. You've always managed everything, do this for me too." For an instant, silence filled the room. Vito held his hand, eyes lowered, feeling the weight of that request that, this time, he could not grant. Then, with a deep sadness in his voice, he replied, "Genco, I don't have that power." That simple answer holds a painful truth. No matter how wise, how powerful, how respected a man may be, he is still just a man in the face of time and death. Not even Don Vito Corleone could win that battle. There, in that intimate and bitter scene, a powerful lesson is revealed, that the power of men has limits, that even the strongest meets an enemy he cannot defeat. And that in the end, what remains is not strength, but the friendship, the memory, and the respect earned in life. Thus ended the journey of Genco Abbandando, the loyal friend, the wise and incorruptible consigliere, who dedicated his life to serving and protecting his soul brother. He passed away knowing that, even though Vito couldn't save him this time, his loyalty and friendship would never be forgotten. Well, everyone, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. Here we share analysis, theories, and curiosities about the Godfather universe. Thank you and see you next time.